So hi everyone, my name is James, I'm 25, and despite everyone telling me I'm insane, I actually enjoy CSS. I certainly won't tell you that it's perfect. It is a crazy, infuriating, and mind-boggling language, as clearly pointed out at the previous talk. But it is also a language that allows us to bring joy to users. However, I wasn't always fluent in CSS. Many moons ago, I knew absolutely nothing. It has been a long journey, and I still have lots to learn. Today, I'm going to start completely all over again. Today, I will walk you through each of my CSS milestones, and today I will be going from 0 to flamingo. Now, that does not make any sense, I know, but if you join me on this journey, it soon will. So where is my cursor? Over here. I'm going to leave you there. Awesome. So before I could start going crazy and making these weird and wonderful experiences, I needed a foundation to start at. And like, from my perspective, shapes are like the building blocks of just web design. So I figured that's where I will start. So the first thing I tackled was a square. I believe this was literally the first bit of CS. Oh dear, this is going to be pain. I practiced this so many times. Yeah, I reckon this was literally the first CSS I ever wrote. Definitely in Notepad++, and definitely in line. But this is where I started, and I was like, wow, in 3 lines I had a square. That was amazing. And then I played around and worked out if I change the height, we get a rectangle. If I change the width, we also get a rectangle. And I was like, that is pretty damn cool. But then I was like, okay, I think I can push myself and move on a little bit. So I thought, I need something a little more round. So in comes the circle. And again, I started where I left off with my beautiful square. How am I doing? Wait, what have I done? Sorry, my hands are a bit shaky. This is my first talk. But then I soon discovered the lovely border radius property. So that meant in 1 extra line of code, I now had rounded corners. That's so cool. And if you just change it to the radius, or 50%, haha, we have a circle. I know, you guys already know this, I know. But like, imagine my 20-year-old self just going, that is exactly what was going on. At this point, I probably got a bit of a big head and tried to tackle something a little more adventurous, and it took me quite a while to figure out how to draw a semicircle. And I realized I couldn't use a square, because if I rounded a square, you get a circle. So using my new favorite border radius property, I worked out if you set the top left radius to the height and the top right radius to the height, and then the bottom ones to 0, you magically get a semicircle. I was like, yeah, I've got this down. This is easy. Then I thought, how about a triangle? I will admit, I couldn't work this out. It fooled me. It is a lot trickier than I thought. And I eventually learned that borders were the secret. But now I was defeated and confused. I was like, what is going on? So I will demonstrate how I learned to think of these by doing it this way. I'm going to set up a massive border, solid, transparent. Yes, I spelled it right. And I'm going to set the border bottom color to crimson. Beautiful. I learned to think of borders as a frame around a painting with like 45-degree angles in all the corners. So if you then go and set the width of your shape to 0, those corners come and meet and give you a nice little triangle, which I thought was like, alright, I can get behind that. That's pretty awesome. And then if you set like the border right color to crimson, you can get a right angle triangle. Okay, this is where I was literally, my brain had melted at this point. Like, what is going on in this language? But it's awesome. Like, it's like excluding the width. It's 3 lines of code, and you've pretty much made like all the basic shapes. This is awesome. So I created shapes, but I wanted to see how everyone else was using shapes. So I started looking around at other websites, and I found some various examples. Obviously, squares. Squares are everywhere. I mean, like, rightfully so, I guess. They define areas, they focus your attention in certain areas, and they are pretty much the basis for every single page layout on the internet. But I noticed these cards pop up right around that like material, UI, flat design phase or trend. I don't know if it's still cool or not. But I thought, yeah, this is where squares become a thing of their own, that like people are like, oh, that's a square, rectangle. But that's a square. Easy done. We're moving on. Circles. Circles I found were used to add extra information. So whether it's like a notification counter for your messaging app, or whether it's like a display picture of someone's face next to their username in a chat client, circles were used to like add that extra little insight. So that's what I drew from that. And then at this point I started also playing around with gradients. You see I have this like radial gradient. Like, how cool is that? Like, that's one line of CSS and you get that. I would never recommend anyone do that. But look what you can do. And it was like, okay, so gradients, and on the previous one we had the drop shadow. Like, they can bring elements into that like 3D landscape, and they can also bring them off the page. I was like, man, you can do so much in so little with CSS these days. Awesome. I will admit, I could not find a legitimate use of semicircles on a website. If anyone does know one, please tell me later. I have a faint memory of seeing one where they were like drawing clouds in the footer. Maybe. But I decided to draw some hills. Or is it ice cream? Gotcha. Oh, didn't see that coming, did you? This is the first time I ever saw a triangle be drawn in CSS. I think it was on the Verge's website back in the day, and it was used exactly like this. I'm going to do that just because it's cool. And it was used as like, yeah, a banner thing, like wrapped around to show the category. And I reckon I spent 25 minutes in Chrome DevTools ticking all the things, going, what is doing this? How is it done? And that's where I learned it was done with borders, and you know the story. But yeah, so that's where people were using triangles really, really effectively. Where are we on to? Okay, so milestone 1 was learning how to draw shapes. Milestone 2 was seeing how other people were using them. Milestone 3 is where I wanted some more. I wanted to bring these shapes to life. I wanted to make them dance almost. So I thought I'd start with making a shape bigger or smaller. So I set up a simple, a poorly named animation loop. Sorry, guys. And with this simple, you can make a ball bounce on a trampoline. Like, amazing. It's so cool. And you can go the other way, and now it's like, right in your face. So like this was just like, you're kidding me. You can do all this in such little. I mean, you can change the durations and all that fun stuff. But I noticed that, I remembered that like Netflix and stuff, maybe back in the day, did that. So when you like hover over them, they get like that pop-out thing, give you that 3D experience, which is really cool. I think that's Finding Dory in French. I've yet to watch it. But obviously scaling was only the beginning. I wanted to get dizzy by looking at the screen, so I went on to and learned how to rotate things. And that's just simple. You just 360 degrees and off you go. So this is just a simple wheel, and I've made all these spokes that are just rotated at various degrees, and a pole with a rounded corner at the top. Like, you're just drawing shapes at this point. And so we're going clockwise, and if you want to go the other way, you just chuck in a negative and off you go. And if you want to make it super fast, you just do that. And now we're doing donuts in the spirit of Tasmania. But it's just so easy. I was just awesome to see like how fast I was progressing through this language. And I realized loading spinners, rotation, like it's just brilliantly. I mean, this is like, you can see there's just two tiny little keyframes, one going from 0 to 360, the other one going from 0 to negative 720. And they just look cool. I mean, I've got the attention span of a peanut, so I could watch that for like 3 hours. But, you know, that was just whipped up real quick. And, like, it's awesome that with such little thing you can give something to look at while your website doesn't load. It's awesome. Yes, flip. They get weird, I promise. I then started exploring, like, what other the animations are there out there. So we rotated around the Z-axis, that was that one, and I thought, okay, what's this X-axis? So that's that way, and then Y-axis is that way. And again, you just throw into 360 degrees and off he goes. He's just happy to spin around all day. And I mean, I was playing with these timing functions to ease in, so he kind of builds up. I don't know if that doesn't make sense gravitationally wise, but it kind of looks cool. I can send him, not that one. I can send him back the other way, but there is literally no difference. He's just happy to keep going. I know you want me to. All right, fine. Alright, what's next? Oh yeah, so I had a fun one. I couldn't really think of a proper example for flipping in a website other than like revealing behind a card, so I decided not to do that. I threw in another one that I accidentally stumbled across on. I don't know why there's a cow in space, but there is, and we love him for it. All he's doing really is he's just rotating from 0 to 360, but at each interval we're just pushing him out, translating him, so moving him across the x-axis just a bit. So each time he goes, he's just like pushed out, and you get this awesome rotation effect, orbiting effect. So I think that's cool. I haven't named him yet, but I'll get there. Alright, so that was the third milestone. We're coming to the last one, I promise. So we had drawing shapes. How do people use them? How do we make them cool? And now we do something stupid with them. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce you to Greg. As you can see, Greg is just built up of shapes. Like he's big circle body, circle head, little paws, semicircles, triangle ears. I don't even know why I drew a cat. I don't really even like cats. But I guess that's probably why I made him do this. It's quite hypnotic, isn't it? Like he's like trying to stare into your soul and control you. I think that's what cats are trying to do, honestly. I don't trust them. But yeah, I did a cat and I was like, nah, we need something cooler, something that speaks to me. So Steve the turtle. Steve is a much simpler animal. He's made up of much less shapes, but he has a noteworthy feature, and that is his shell. So I discovered this repeating radial gradient, which just alternates those two colors at every 20% interval, and it looks so cool. I had it originally in like red and blue, and it looked like racing stripes. I thought it'd make him go faster, but unfortunately he's just as slow as every other turtle. But he's adorable, and we love him for it. Finally, I would like to introduce you to my favorite friend. His name is Jerry, the flamingo. See, told you. We went 0 to flamingo. Completed the circle. He is really cool. Like up close, it doesn't show as well on the projector, but he's just got all these subtle gradients on him that just make him look quite cool. And the reason we're best friends is because we share similar taste in, I'm best friends with a CSS Flamingo, yes, I'll admit it, taste in music, so whenever he hears a metal song come on, off he goes. And he will not stop. We will make him stop though, because he will faint. That is pretty much my talk. I did want to conclude this talk with a sloth, because they are my favourite animal, because I have no idea how they're still alive. Like, they're ridiculous. Look them up. But I thought it'd be really cute to animate him with a wink at the end. So I gave that a shot, but unfortunately I failed. But I failed so badly, I had to leave it in. So I will wrap this up and open the floor to any questions, if there are, while my good friend Ralph here tries to give you a wink. Thank you very much.